Let's just say when Mom comes to town, not everything is a party. Let's get started on this episode of What Happened. Lisa back again to recap another eventful episode of Shadowhunters. This time, Season 2, Episode 8, titled Love is a Devil. Now this episode saw a moment a lot of you have probably been waiting for, as well as the return of Mama Lightwood. Let's get this recap started. First up, let's talk about Izzy. When we left her in the last episode, she had seeked out some vampires to get some venom since she's out of Yinfen. Now, as the vampires are about to, well, kind of get rough on her, Raphael actually swoops in and saves the day. And okay, Raphael's usually made out to be pretty much a douchebag, but in this episode we see a different side of him, and I really like it. So Raphael can see that Izzy is really in pain and is struggling from all her withdrawals, and she tells him that the pain is everywhere. He, of course, is the reasonable one and tells her she just needs to be strong and sweat it out because Yinfen is dangerous, but vampire venom is even worse. Izzy says what any actual addict usually says, that she needs it just this once and she'll never ask again. Yeah, sure. Raphael ends up reluctantly giving her what she wants, and later on, before they go to Max's party, Izzy calls Raphael again looking for more venom. This time, her excuse is that it's an emergency because her mom is in town and this will be the last time. Well, I mean, I think a lot of people can relate to this, right? Sometimes when your parents roll through town, they bring up nitpicky things and it just doesn't go so well. Hopefully it doesn't happen to a lot of you, but I know I can kind of relate to Izzy there. Raphael, once again, he refuses to give her what she wants, but she kind of ropes him into it.
I can't.
Well, that's not playing fair, is it, Izzy? Like, that's just wrapping him around your finger, playing with his weakness like the blood. Raphael ends up giving her what she wants, obviously, and walks Izzy to the party and tells her that when Maris leaves, Izzy needs to go away and just get everything out of her system, go detox. And then he tells her the story of when he first turned and how Magnus saved him and helped him find himself again. And like I said, we're seeing the softer side of Raphael, and also I'm seeing some kind of like eye things going on. Like, could a romance be brewing between these two? Now Luke, he's not really in this episode a lot. We do see him at the very beginning kind of very pissed off at Clary and Jace for having kept secrets from him, like what the soul sword can really do. And of course he's mad because Valentine has his sister. So Clary and Jace explained to him that the angel showed them a vision of a demon that could possibly destroy the sword, because when they saw the demon holding it, the sword disintegrated. Unfortunately for them, no one's ever seen this demon before, so now they have to try to track that down also. Moving on to Evil Daddy, aka Valentine. He's, of course, up to no good again. We see Iris, you know, that redheaded awful warlock who tried to impregnate Clary a few episodes ago. We see her sitting on a park bench, and in slides Valentine right next to her, and immediately we know something good's not going to happen. Let's just say Daddy isn't too happy to hear that Iris tried to harm his dear little Clarissa. Valentine seems to have his eye on Iris's child, little Madsie. I think she was the one with the gills, right? Iris says that she'll do anything as long as Valentine doesn't hurt Madsie. And so what is that anything? We'll get to that later. First, we finally get to see Magnus and Jace have a little bonding moment over their dislike of Maris Lightwood, who no one actually seems to like in this episode. Well, that bonding doesn't happen first without a little confrontation. So Jace is out on the patio studying demons to try to figure out what they saw in that vision, and he ends up telling Magnus that he thinks that Magnus and Alex are just a fling, and that he knows that Magnus and Alex have taken things to the next level, and that's when we get this hilarious moment.
Now that you guys have taken things to the next level...
He told you.
No, he didn't have to. We're parabatai. No, it's not like that. It's... I can sense that he's happier.
I love it when these two have scenes together. Oh, and also, anything we need to mention, did you notice that new cat that they mentioned in this scene? Yeah, you'll need to remember that for later. And also, if it's any hint, cats are evil, right? So, okay, some of you might be cat lovers, but I'm not, so I think cats are evil. Anyways, they end up agreeing that they have something in common, that they'll never let anyone hurt Alec.
I'm never gonna let anyone hurt him.
Then we have that in common. You think I'd invite Maris Lightwood to my home for just anyone?
Now, speaking of this party that Magnus is throwing, Maris Lightwood is back in town with little Max because he's finally passed his last trial and is ready for his rune ceremony. Now, Robert is tied up with the Valentine task force, so Alec is now in charge of Max's ceremonial party. Let's just say tensions are at an all-time high with Maris in town, and everyone is giving everyone attitude. Max tells Alec that Mom and Dad are always fighting and says it's because Mom doesn't like Alec having a warlock boyfriend. That leads Alec to this bright idea.
How would you feel about throwing a party?
Have you met me?
It is for Max's rune ceremony.
I think I'll pass.
Yeah, so Magnus is pretty reluctant to do this, but Alex says the point of Magnus throwing this party is so that Maris will see that what they have is real and that Malik is not going away. And then finally the party thrower of all parties agrees to give it a chance and throw an awesome party. But let's just say Mama Lightwood is not too happy about Magnus throwing this party, and when she says this is a day about family and all of this yada yada-ness, Alex snaps at her, bringing up Jace and how she wanted him dead, to which she responds that she was just following orders. Alex says that he's heard this excuse way too many times, that it's lost its meaning, and this sets off something in Maris, and she actually changes her mind about the party and agrees to let Magnus throw this party. Now, before diving deeper into this actual party, let's back things up to one of the biggest moments in this episode. Our man Simon finally grew a pair of balls and confessed his love for Clary. So Simon has asked Clary to come meet him, and when she walks up, he's rambling to himself, trying to give himself one of those Simon pep talks. Clary, of course, thinks that this talk has something to do with Simon wanting to date Maya and wanting Clary's approval for this. Simon is taking forever to get out what he actually wants to say to her, but finally, he gets out those words that he's been waiting to say probably most of his life, if not all his life.
I'm in love with you, Clary. But I realize that you might not feel the same way, and it might get weird, and that it might.
That, of course, leads up to our big climb and kiss.
Be... Was it,
Weird?
Yeah.
In the best way possible.
Weird in the best way possible is right. So let's go back to the party. We see Jace at the bar with Maya, and we get more Maya and Jace banter, which I love.
Hey, beer.
I thought I smelled cocky.
Magnus must be really scraping the bottom of the bartender barrel.
Oh, you still bitter about getting your ass kicked by a werewolf?
Does anybody else ship these two together? Is that just me? When they see Simon and Clary walking hand in hand, Jace says to Maya, well, hey, your date with Simon must not have gone well. When Maya responds that, no, it actually went really well, but that she's the one who told Simon to finally make a move for Clary. And so Jace ends up walking over to them and saying,
Oh, you two look cute together.
Thanks.
Well, I guess congratulations are in order.
I guess so.
wow. He is actually taking this a lot better than I thought with the way that Jace has been lately, with moody, broody Jace and like all his feelings all pent up inside and kind of usually not liking Simon. I'm surprised that he's being the bigger man here, saying that he's happy for Clary and congratulating them. However, things definitely aren't all rosy for Climate at this party. Yeah, their relationship's not gonna get off to a good start here. Simon goes over to the bar to talk to Maya, get a drink. Clary ends up looking for him, and she sees him out on the fire escape with Maya. Dun dun dun! Kissing? Now Clary is starting to get pissed, and when Simon finds his way back to her, he says that Maya kissed him and...
Clary, no matter how close we are, you will never understand what it's like to live like this. But she does.
Ouch! Like, words can hurt, man. And Clary, she tries to leave the party now because she's mad at Simon and things are just getting out of hand. But Magnus ends up stopping her and telling her to stay because his wheels are turning. He kind of thinks something's happening now. Later in the party, Max is being a precocious little twerp to Magnus, and he asks Magnus right out, where's your warlock mark? Then this kid goes off saying that Jace isn't his brother and how Mara says he's not even part of their family, which makes Jace run off angry, because why wouldn't it? This leads to Alex telling Maris that if she ever wants to make things right with him, which we know she does, she has to go make things right with Jace first. So Maris, she goes off to find Jace, and what we think is going to be an apology turns into something else. Maris ends up saying, oh, wait, Max is right with what he said, and Jace, you're not a part of this family. And if she would have known that Jace had demon blood in him all along, she would have never let him stay. She would have done this a long time ago. We then go back to Clary, who sees Simon and Maya flirting once again, and now her blood is really boiling, and it's Magnus to the rescue again, because he looks over and he doesn't see Simon with Maya. He sees Simon talking to, I think, Raj with no Maya in sight. So what is going on here? He then glances over and sees Maris on the floor in the other room, and he's like, crap, my party is just getting off the rails. So Magnus tells Clary that he thinks she's hallucinating, but isn't quite sure yet, and he goes off to check on Jace and tells her to stay there. But Clary, she's trying to leave, and she ends up running to Alec, where some harsh words are exchanged.
Seeing you here, drink in hand, all smiles, it makes me sick.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about you killing my mom.
Now back to Jace and Maris. Magnus wakes her up, and Jace explains that she was trying to kill him and threw an axe at his head, but yet there is no axe in the bookcase or the wall like he says there is. Maris then tells her side, saying that she actually came to apologize, and they finally all figure out that someone is messing with their minds. They're playing on all their insecurities so that they're seeing and hearing the awful things that they think that they should be hearing. Clary is questioning Simon and Maya. And then we have Clary blaming Alec for her mom's death and the whole Jace and Maris thing. Yeah, it's all happening. So they hear Clary yelling Alec's name. They run up to the roof and they see Alec standing on the edge of the building getting ready to jump to his death because of all the things that he's heard Clary say to him, and he's blaming himself for Jocelyn's death. Things are escalating pretty quickly, so Magnus runs off to get his spell book and arrives back just in time to cast a spell and kind of save the day. But as everything is starting to kind of clear up and get back to normal, the book disappears out of his hands, and he has some fast reaction times because he throws that ward up to shield the building pretty quickly. After scanning everyone at the party, they don't find another warlock in sight. And Magnus explains that the book that was stolen can undo every spell he's ever done in like any language, which is not a good thing. And that's when he kind of has a revelation.
From the elementary to the complex, in new and old languages. Champenois. It's an old French dialect. Bacherou. The red-haired cat.
Yeah, you remember that pesky cat from earlier? Yeah, that red-haired cat turns out to be Iris. I told you you can't trust cats. So Iris and Magnus have this fight, and of course Magnus wins and captures Iris, and Iris reveals that Valentine has the Book of Counterspells now, but she's not quite sure what he wants with them. Iris sees Clary. She brings up that Clary owes her a favor and tells her to go find Madsy. Now after all that drama, Clary and Jace tell them about the angel and setting it free and what it showed them and how dangerous the soul sword is and how she has seen new runes and all of this. Magnus ends up putting two and two together and says that Clary must have a blood connection to an angel and that she has pure angel blood, which is why Valentine wants her unharmed. Now that this party from hell is over, Simon and Clary end up walking home and make up, and just for fun, here's another climbing kiss for you. The episode ends with Max having his rune ceremony, and thankfully everything goes well. And now that everyone knows why Valentine wants Clary, Jace is in like ultra protective mode, like I guess big brother mode in this sense, and he tells Clary that he's not letting her out of his sight, which, well, can now be a little bit awkward since she's with Simon. We also get a touching moment between Clary and Alec.
Whatever you heard me say when you were under the spell, you have to know, I don't blame you for my mom. I don't.
As well as between Jace and Maris.
I don't regret taking you in for 1 second. Max was totally out of line because I have been out of line.
We also learned that there's kind of a reason Maris has been a little bit bitchier than normal. Turns out she's been trying to save face and not let people know that her marriage is actually crumbling, and it's revealed that Robert is actually been cheating on her. But she doesn't want Alec and Jace to tell Izzy because Izzy worships Robert and things could just go wrong, because I feel like if they told Izzy, Izzy would blame Maris and it's not her fault this time. We end up ending the episode with creepy Daddy Valentine giving Madsy some ice cream, saying she's going to get along great with his sweet little Clarissa. Just hearing his voice kind of makes my skin crawl. This episode, we got the party of hell, but because of it, we got some big steps taken in these characters' relationships, including a lot of makeups and apologies, and of course, finally, that big Kleiman moment. However, I'm sure a lot of you Clay shippers might not be too thrilled about that one. So now the questions. How long do we think Kleiman can actually last? Is Jace really okay with Clary and Simon dating? Why does Valentine want both Madsy and Clary? Will Izzy end up taking Raphael's advice and going and getting clean? And will anybody actually ever be able to stop Valentine? We don't have too many episodes left in this half of the season, so we have to get some answers soon, right? Either way, leave me all your thoughts, theories, and comments in the comments section below, or hit me up on social media. Links are also in the description. What were your favorite moments from this episode? Which relationship are you liking the most at this moment in time? Let me know. Be sure to check out my other recaps over here on What Happened, and subscribe so you don't miss any of my interviews or recaps or whatever's on my channel. As always, I'm Lisa. Thanks for joining me on this episode of What Happened, and I'll see you next time.